It is 10 o'clock at night. My face is a mess. My roots are grown out, but we gotta talk about this. Hey dolls! Okay, so I basically just got home from going and seeing the new live action Lion King. I have so many thoughts. I have so many thoughts, and I can't decide whether or not I want to give spoilers. I don't think I do, because I really want to encourage you guys to go see this movie yourself, especially if you are a longtime fan of the original. Before I get into this, I am going to say that I am a little bit biased because I am a huge Lion King stan. I have been ever since I was a teeny tiny little small meerkat. And before I get into the review of the actual movie, I am going to kind of touch base a little bit as to what Lion King really means to me and how it is so close to my heart. Lion King, the original The Lion King, came out in 1994, and I was a wee little meerkat at 2 years old. That is the first movie I ever saw in theaters. And it is weird to say this, but that is the earliest memory I have, is the very, very beginning scene with the loud music that's just, like that. I have that ingrained in my head. That is my very, very, very first memory. That is the earliest thing I can remember in my life. And it's crazy to think that I am almost 27 years old and that still like is in my head for, it's gonna be in my head for eternity. Also, when I was growing up, my dad's nickname for me was Timon, and he was the only person to ever call me that. And unfortunately, if you guys don't know, my dad passed away when I was 12. And I had a super, super close bond with him. And after he passed away, I really started to relate to the character of young Simba a lot. Especially losing my dad and, you know, living to make him proud of me and things like that. Like, it really hit home for me. And like I said, I was called Timon all the time, so it also pulled at my heartstrings there a little bit. But this movie has just always, like, it legitimately, the original Lion King has been my favorite movie in all existence ever, because every single time I watch it, even to this day, I have probably watched it at least 100 times, like, no joke. And every single time I still go through the roller coaster of emotions. So I had huge hopes, huge expectations for this live action film. But at the same time, I was also very skeptical because nothing can beat the original, you know? Like, nothing ever can. Like, the original is always usually the best. So it's really hard to top that, especially when it's something as powerful as The Lion King. Like, The Lion King is the epitome of Disney movies. It is just, it is so good. Okay, I don't want to get super emotional talking about it right now, but like, it just means so much to me. So I had huge hopes and expectations for this film. Now, I keep saying live action in quotes because it's not really live action, because these aren't real animals in this movie. It's all computer animation, which is mind-blowing to me to see how far technology has come in filmmaking. It is insane. This movie is the most beautiful film I have ever seen in my life. The attention to detail is insane. Like, I'm not here to give spoilers. I'm not going to give spoilers to anything, but I will say that within the first couples of scenes, like the first scene or two, I noticed that there were even little bugs like flying around in the foreground and background, and it's just like, this is crazy. Like, this is something that looks like real life, but it's all computer generated, and my mind was just blown that the fact that these were not real animals, those weren't real bugs flying around. The attention to detail, like every blade of grass, every hair on Mufasa's mane wisping in the wind, was just so stunning, just so beautiful. The visual effects just had me, dare I say, shook. Is that still relevant to say these days? I don't know. I'm old. but I was blown away just by how beautiful and stunning this film was. It was one of the most visually pleasing movies I have ever seen in my life. Now, because this is all computer generated and this is all CGI, these are not real animals, I did find that at times in the movie, their facial expressions didn't match what I remembered. And that's because with cartoons, you can over-exaggerate the expressions on their face and raise one eyebrow and smile to your ears and drop your jaw and things like that, whereas real-life animals, they don't have the capabilities to do those things. You know, someone's jaw can't literally hit the ground, you know, it's just a figure of speech, but cartoons can do that. While I missed those moments that you couldn't see kind of true emotion on the characters' faces, you could hear it in their voices. And I know a few people have been saying that they haven't been able to get to that peak of being emotional, especially during Mufasa's death and things like that. They weren't able to reach that point of getting teary-eyed or crying because the characters, you can't really see the emotion on their faces. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I cried. I always cry, even like in the cartoon always makes me cry, but in the theater I cried. I cried a lot throughout this film. It was kind of embarrassing how much I cried, but I think a lot of that had to do with my emotional connection to the movie, not just watching the movie itself. Like if I had never seen the original, if I had no attachments, I don't think I would have cried so much, but because it means so much to me, I bawled my eyes out. During the scene of Mufasa's death and things like that, people had been saying that they weren't able to cry like they did with the original because the characters' faces, you don't feel as sympathetic for them because the emotion on their face, you know, Simba saying, "Someone help, help," but he's not crying. He doesn't look sad, but for me it hit just as hard because I could hear it in his voice. And the voice is what got me choked up more than anything because you can hear the desperation, and that's what got to me. That's what hit home for me, and that's just what tugged on my heartstrings there. It was a lot, but I cried at several points during the movie, and I didn't even expect to. I started bawling at the beginning when they did the I can't even speak. When they did the whole Circle of Life introduction and everything like that, like I was just weeping. I think that's the point in the movie that I think I cried the most. Another part that I cried was obviously the death scene, but also I cried just so randomly at the scene. They took this from the original, it was also in the trailer, but the scene where Timon, Pumbaa, and Simba are going across the log and they're aging, and you can see the scene like changing, but they're aging as they go across the log. And then right at that point, you see old Simba, which you see in the original as well, pop out of the bush, and he's singing the last little verse or chorus of the Hakuna Matata song. So he jumps out of the bush and he goes, "It means no worries," and he's all full grown, and I just wept. Like I was like, oh my god, he's so beautiful. He grew up to look just like his daddy, and I'm just like bawling, and like it was so hard for me to like keep it together and like cry quietly in this theater. I will say this, is it stuck very true to the story. A lot of the lines were very similar, if not exactly spot on. And it kept very true to the story, and it was very consistent. But I will also say, no spoilers, there were a couple added clips here and there which I think added to the original story. For example, in the original, there's kind of like a jump cut from one point in time to the next, but in the new one, it kind of shows you what happened in between those two clips, and it was very cool because it literally showed like the circle of life, and in that little tiny aspect in that little clip that we didn't see in the original, it also gives kind of an educational outlook as well, which was really, really cool. That was definitely awesome to see. But there were a couple little lines here and there or things that I had kind of missed. I'm so happy that they kept the songs in there. However, I'm gonna give a little tiny spoiler. During Scar's song, he doesn't have as big of a number. And that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna put out there. It's different, but I didn't completely hate it. And I am gonna give one other little spoiler when they sing, "Can you feel the love tonight?" By the way, Beyonce did brilliant with that. I am not a Beyonce fan by any means, and when I first heard that she was voicing Nala, I was very like distressed about it. But actually seeing her performance, I can't say that it was jaw-dropping or phenomenal or spectacular or brilliant even, but she did a very good job, especially with the songs, her new song Spirit. It's in the movie at one point. It was pretty good, and she did beautiful with the Can You Feel the Love Tonight song. The only criticism I have to say about that song is the scene in the movie is actually taking place during the daytime, not at night. So it kind of threw me off a little bit. Like, that's just me being picky, comparing it literally word for word to the original. That's one thing that kind of stood out to me that I wasn't a huge fan of, but it's something that you kind of get over because it is so visually spectacular. I think the main reason that they kept it the way that they did during the daytime is because then all of the colors and scenery and environment is so much more vibrant and colorful. Whereas if it's nighttime, you can't really see all of that. And they really wanted to match the visual with the audio, and they definitely did that in that scene. Now, as for Timon and Pumbaa, I will tell you this, Timon and Pumbaa stole the show. And oh my god, Seth Rogen was the best choice. Again, I am not a huge Seth Rogen fan. I don't love him. He isn't one of my favorites. But he was the most brilliant choice to voice Pumbaa. Like, oh, it's amazing. And there are little quirks that are in the new film that weren't in the old one that just make you chuckle. They make you belly laugh. And it's just like, it literally is a roller coaster of emotions because you're so happy and then like, oh my god, you're in tears. And then like, it's so uplifting and so powerful and you can relate to the characters. And it's just, oh wow, this is so good. Also, real quick, James Earl Jones, thank goodness he was still Mufasa. I don't think I could look at Mufasa the same way if it was any other person because it's just, that voice is just so strong and they had to have at least one voice from the original, and I am glad that it was him of all of the people because it was so, oh, it got me. The only really negative thing I can say is, like I said, because the animals are real animals, it's really hard to connect with them so much because they don't show actual emotions in their faces, but their voices and body language kind of show that, so you can connect with them a little more. I could tell you it was really weird seeing it live action or CGI, whatever, because I'm so used to the original, and I'm so happy that they stuck to the story and they kept a lot of it the same. And I also feel that the lionesses were a little bit more powerful in this movie. They didn't necessarily stand out, but I feel like they had more of an impact in this movie than they did in the original, which was cool. It was kind of like a different concept. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away. This was very beautiful. If anything, just spend the money to go see it so you can appreciate the detail of the film. But I guarantee you that if you are a fan of the original, I don't think you'll be let down. I think the movie definitely meets expectations, if not it exceeds them. For me anyway. I love it. Like, it was beautiful, and I went with my mom, and I actually plan to go back with my fiance and see it a second time because it was that gorgeous. It was that beautiful. And I sat in the back row at the theater because that's usually my spot. That's where I always sit. But honestly, this is a movie where you want to sit up closer. Like, it is so beautiful. I just keep thinking about the opening scene and I'm just getting so emotional because it's just like spot on, like, ah. And real quick, can we also appreciate the fact that they did not make Rafiki's butt look like a true baboon's butt? Because I think all of the children in the movie theater would have been horrified by that. Anyway, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this little review. I told you that I would do one. This movie means so much to me, and I can check it off of my bucket list because I've been waiting for this live action version for a long time. And I can definitely say that it is great, and I will be owning it as soon as it comes out on DVD. Let me know down in the comments below if you've seen the movie and what your thoughts are without giving any spoilers, because I don't want to ruin it for anybody. I want you guys to go see it and all of its glory for yourselves. Oh, and I will tell you guys right now that I think it was either the producer or the director. I think it was the director. Someone said that the entire movie is all computer animation, but he snuck one scene, one little snippet in the movie that is actually real, that was filmed somewhere in Africa, I think. And he said that he snuck it in there, and I honestly cannot tell you which scene that was. I want to say it was at the very beginning of the opening scene where it had the elephants and the mountains in the back. That's my assumption. That's what I think it is. But I don't know. Have you guys seen the movie? What scene do you think it is that is the real deal? Let me know down below. I gotta go. I gotta get to bed because I have to wake up early and work tomorrow. But I wanted to film this review and get this video up because I know a lot of you have been not only wanting to know my opinion about it, but to kind of know if it was worth it. Is it worth it for you guys to go see? I think so. I don't think you should wait until this comes out on DVD. I think you should go see it. I think it will make your heart happy. If anything, like I said, just go and look at the pretty pictures on the screen. It is beautiful. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking. I'll go ahead and let you guys go. And yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below without spoilers, and I will talk to you all in my next video. So until then, so long, stay strong, stay true, and be you. All right.